Today I'm going to be working on the Buick Skylark, replacing the rusted out floor and giving her some new metal and new life. Let's get to it. So the biggest thing is I'm going to be needing to find my edges of where I actually want to replace the metal, because we're doing a full floor pan replacement, which this is the excess piece the other side, which the center wasn't bad, so we didn't actually need to use the centerpiece. But this one, the center's not the greatest. Like, there's a pinhole here, it's a little rusted out. Like, that side wasn't too bad, so we only needed to do the two fronts, or the front and rear. Still need to do the back, but we need to find where we want our line to be, where it turns into good metal, where this disappears and it turns to actually good solid metal. So I'm going to be going around with a slag chip and hammer, which this is actually a body hammer, and just finding the actual rusted spots where like metal doesn't move so easy, and kind of trying to find the thickness and thin of where I want to cut and make my marks. Then you go all the way up to into the firewall, somewhere over here, and then that way. This is the second or third floor I've replaced, so I wouldn't say I'm experienced at it, but I know my way around with it. So I would be very cautious on where you're going to cut. Make sure you know exactly what you're cutting behind. Not cutting into a fuel line, brake line, speedo. Like, especially on the driver's side, you have your speedometer cable, your brake line for your. You come down here. This will be your brake, your parking brake. And you come underneath, and you get to see your speedo. This is your park linkage, so putting it into gear and out of gear. And you don't want to cut into that. And here's also your frame members. Here's the frame of the car. So when you're going and trying to find where you want to cut, like this line, if I just were to cut this and plunge the grinding disc all the way in, I would slam into the frame. So when I'm actually going to cut, I just barely want to touch off of it, which that line is not exactly where I'm going to cut. That's just kind of a reference, because also I need to talk to my dad, because this is his car. This is not my car, which it kind of is my car, but it's his car, so he gets the last say. But this is why we haven't done it yet, is because I want to do it in multiple pieces, because I think it'll be a little easier, kind of like how we did that side with the small back, small front, and then do the centerpiece. He wants to do it all in one, which is his car. I'll do what he wants, but so I need to still confer with him on what he wants. So we're getting there. On day 2, talked to my dad. We figured out where we're going to be cutting. So he wants it way bigger than I originally wanted to. But whatever, it's his car. We'll figure it out. The only way to start is to start. And so, first step, before I start cutting this out and making it unstable for me to stand on, I've got to go after these little tiny spot welds. I'm not even sure if you guys can see it on camera, but all the cross members have little spot welds from the sheet metal into the member, so it can't pick up. Like, there's a little tiny one here, but you can't see it because it's all rusted out, or else I would be able to pick up this piece of metal and have it flop around. But so they're riddled throughout here, which is what makes the floor from bubbling. So I've got to go through and try and find all of them and drill them out, so that way once I cut the perimeter, it'll actually lift out and not fold up and be all destroyed. So you'll be with me trying to drill them out. Well, that's one of the last ones. There are a few more up front, which I'm gonna have to get after the fact, after I get started cutting, because I don't know, I can't see them, I can't find them, just with my visual. So once I start to actually move the floor panel around, they'll hopefully show themselves. So basically ready to start cutting. Okay, I'm just about ready to start cutting. I'm going to be using a cutoff wheel with a grinder. I got this grinder for free from Skills USA. It's an X-Lock grinder. The only thing I don't like about it, because then the discs are more expensive and you have a very small selection of discs. But the one nice thing about it is it's a 14 amp grinder, so it has a speed selection. And because this is kind of delicate work, I'm going to be going on a very slow speed. with one of the thinner discs that I have, because like this is the thicker disc, 16th inch disc, and this is a 0.45. You can look at the millimeters also, it'll tell you the difference. But so this is a thinner disc, so it'll remove less material, but it's more fragile, so if I twist it and cut, this has a higher chance of snapping, breaking, where these don't. So I'm gonna be going nice and slow and precise, just barely touching off on the metal. Well, let's get going. Okay, got it cut all the way around. It's loose. It's ready to come out. I just have to do a couple more things, like run through and get these stitch welds to let free. Like the whole thing's cut around. And it's all cut free. So I just need to go through and find the rest of my stitch welds. Right here is a factory break, and I'm going to continue that so I have this piece back and then that piece forward, since remember I told you I had the stitch welds I still have to get up there, so I'll deal with those after the fact. So I just have to get these all to let go. So I'm going to take a crowbar, stick up underneath here and try and pop it free, and got to get over to here, but make sure I don't screw up any of the cross braces because they're kind of weak also. And then after the fact, once I get it out, I got to de-rust them, so clean them up, spray them with rust kill, and then I'll paint them with some Port 15, so that way they hopefully last longer. And then, well actually before I paint them, I need to weld these little drilled holes. So when I drilled, I was using a hammer and tapping to try and break them free. So if you look real closely, it's kind of broke free. You can kind of see separation, which you can't see separation here. So that one's either not drilled far enough, or I missed it. Something is wrong with that one, but like these, they're all broke free, which when I drilled, you saw me walking the drill bit around because I was trying to make the actual, so when a drill drills, it drills a divot. I was trying to get rid of that divot as best I could so I don't have to go through and weld as much, because the more I drilled down, the more I was compromising this brace. Not this one, but this one, since there's two braces. So the less I was able to drill, the better, but I still need to get that separation. So I need to go through and weld those so it's one solid piece of metal, like it never happened. Something that's very important is being very gentle. So like this cross brace is super fragile. And so I've got the rear lifted, which you've been watching me do. And I've got this side lifted. I've got probably one left here, but it's kind of rusted up, so I can see one there, but it's kind of rusted out, not worth drilling out. These are all popped, so I got to continue this on, and then I've got to deal with the ones up front. So I got it tore out. So here's those drill bit marks I was talking about that I got to clean up. So this one's actually not as bad as I thought it was. In the front, so you see where it was. It was a pain in the cutting. Oh, it was ridiculous how difficult it was. So it took me 45 minutes to an hour just to deal with that. But I couldn't see them. They were here. I ended up grinding up some of them because I couldn't really get the drill bit in there because the gas pedal, or the, yeah, this is the gas pedal, right? Yeah, the brake pedal was in the way, so it's kind of difficult. Also, the drill bit really wouldn't take that well because for some reason it was a little more hardened. So I ended up just mangling the hell out of it, which I'll have to take and push everything back so it's kind of matched. And then I'll have to take my other template, so there was two sides. This was the passenger side, which I already cut pieces out of, and I'll have to take the newer one, so which is the driver's side, which is on the other side of the car over there. So here on the floor, throw this inside it, and try and get as close mapped out as possible with my cut lines. Throw this back in there and get the braces cleaned out. It goes at the bottom out, so you get them soaking in oil that way. So when we pick the car off the frame, it'll go easier.